Hello and welcome to game number 1 of the Winners Bracket round of 8 in Diamond Cycle 9 between Team NK and Ready for a Miracle over here. And you may know some of these players. They are actually sweet like ice in Cycle round 10 and in the HoN Tour playoffs. They underwent a name change. It is, as far as I could tell, pretty much entirely the same team, so I don't think that there's actually any difference there. They just decided they'd rather be called Sweet Like Ice instead of Ready for a Miracle. And both of these teams here, of course, as a result of their earlier bracket wins. I don't remember who they beat, so sorry. The Cycle 9 brackets are available online if you're really that curious, but or alternately, I've got the uploads. Somebody does at least. Maybe not be maybe HoNcast, maybe Colecast, who knows. But man, this thing's moving fast, so let's get right into it. Bans are Scout, Richard Hag, Cersei, and Warbeast. Fitzbell being angry that Cersei gets banned out, but not that surprising, as she is often taken care of. Warbeast and Scout, of course, strong suicide that often get banned. Hag, a very versatile hero and extremely powerful in pretty much every phase of the game, and often seen taken out. The rest of the team over here on Hellborn now Keeper of the Forest, Pestilence, and Ophelia. So extremely, extremely strong push here from the Legion side. No doubt about that. With the Oath minions and the Keeper dogs, you're going to have tons and tons of lockdown. Keeper of the Forest and Ophelia often considered one of the most powerful combos in the game, just because of the lockdown between the Root and the Oath minions with a double Minotaur Stomp and the Skeleton King Net. You're just like, what do I do? And that first pick Tempest over here for the Hellborn is looking worse and worse by the second, as both Keeper and Ophelia are often picked up in order to cancel that Tempest ultimate. So Tempest's going to have a hell of a time getting an effective ult off between the Root and presumably the Skeleton Kings, plus possibly Impale on top of Portal Key for Pestilence. So good luck whoever's playing that on the Hellborn side. Don't really see any Tempest ultimates lasting longer than 1 or 2 seconds unless you catch out somebody or 1 or 2 people by themselves. Rest of the Hellborn team is Kraken and Bubbles, so lots and lots of ulti synergy. Both of these teams going for pretty heavy team fight stuff with Keeper, Oath, Tempest, Kraken, and Bubbles all having what should be considered team fight ultimates. Gank a little heavier here on the Legion side with Ophelia. Bubbles has some, but Oath's lockdown perhaps a little stronger, plus the blink and stun from Pestilence. Kraken is a solid initiator, decent ganker, but not quite as strong as Petsy in my opinion, and Tempest certainly doesn't bring quite as much gank potential as Ophelia does, particularly in the early game. So team fight here, perhaps a little stronger for the Hellborn side if they can manage to get a Tempest ult off. I just don't think that'll ever happen. Late game, perhaps also favoring Legion, as I'm thinking Ophelia, Keeper, Pesty is going to be a little stronger. Bubbles does tend to taper off. Tempest does as well, becomes basically just a walking ultimate. Kraken stays pretty damn viable, but it does taper a little bit. In my opinion, if you're going to run him as a number 1, you should look to end the game relatively early, just because if the other team has anything that's, marginally better, he will die. He's just not that mobile even with the charge, and while he's a big fat tanky mess, he has some issues doing actual damage. Nonetheless, push pretty reasonable here for the Hellborn as well, so we'll see what they can do. Right now I think I'm favoring the Legion side, because the draft seems a bit stronger, but certainly the possibility for an improvement by Hellborn. Bans are out. Corrupt Disciple Slither and Master of Arms banned out by Tankafet on the Legion side, so 2 real short laners, as Slither doesn't get run as a support very often, usually seen as a farmer. And obviously Hellborn team are looking for both a support and a short laner, with easily their mid and their suicide being taken care of, as those probably will be filled by Kraken and Bubbles in some order, and Tempest hitting the jungle. So Firemind's going to be their 4th pick, will be a support, and now they're looking for a short laner. Moon Queen's always available, so is Gemini or Sandwraith. All those heroes I think would fit well in this lineup. Sorry about that, a little cough still. But up to them really. They could also pick something a little greedier, maybe a Dr. Repulsor. Man, it just won't go away, will it? Or they could go heavy mid-game. Let's get rid of the damn thing. They could go heavy mid-game, maybe something like, I don't know, Rally. Be greedy, but it's a possibility. Hellborn's bans are Grinix, Drunken Master, and Torture, so 1 support, a Suicide, and a versatile hero, as Legion are probably already have their Suicide and Keeper of the Forest, so Grinix man a little interesting. You wouldn't expect to see Keeper anywhere other than that Suicide role. He has been running the short lane a few times, but I personally think it's a bit of a waste. He doesn't need the short lane farm. And He's typically not that big a deal. If he does get it, he just doesn't provide the right-click damage that many other carries will. So a bit of an interesting ban there, but both Drunken Master and Torturer make a ton of sense. DM presumably for that mid or possibly even short lane, and Torturer as the potential support. But it will be the Engineer and Arachna as the last two picks here for the Legion side. Engie, no surprise, once again fits very well for their team. Pestilence and Engineer are very, very, very strong middle lane, and that has a lot of kill potential, so I'm expecting them to do well in Legion in mid. And of course the Engie ultimate providing lots of more team fight ability with Root locking your way down. Everybody stay inside the Engie ultimate. And that's one more way to annoy Tempest. If you drop it first and he manages to get Blink Dagger, blinks inside of it, of course, he will be silenced. So can't drop the ulti immediately, and then that usually proceeds to be death for him because, if you're silenced and you can't drop the ulti immediately, it's always like, oh, kill the Tempest, and then he dies. So that makes him sad. But Arachna, final pick over here for the Legion side, adds two things that they were lacking, gank and carry potential. So they already had team fight, they already had push, they were missing some carry, certainly, and Arachna will provide that at pretty strong right clicks as long as she can stay alive. She's had some issues staying alive, really, I keep saying that, staying alive in team fights, and getting in and out of places. She usually tends to build extremely mobile for that reason, and does tend to be a bit more gank-oriented than most carry heroes, not as interested in just static farming a lane. So with the Pestilence and Ophelia, I think that does pair fairly well, but no doubt I think this Arachna is a very strong pickup, and the slow, of course, will be very helpful considering the amount of stuns that the first three heroes in the Legion lineup bring to the table. Last two picks for Hellborn will be Pyromancer and Dr. Repulsor. So, like I said, Doctor, an option here for the short lane, a little greedier, I think, just because I'm not sure how well he fits this lineup. With Bubbles and Pyromancer now added, I think it's a little better. There is more gank potential. There is more burst potential, as Doctor is a strong farmer, certainly. He can just sit there and rice for days, but he also has extremely strong gank potential with that ultimate. He likes to get hero pickoff, so that's going to be very helpful for him and his farm, and getting charges on the Icon of the Goddess, which he almost inevitably will pick up. So with the addition of Pyromancer to this lane, I think the burst damage from on the magic side is going to be very heavy from Hellborn. So that's going to help Dr. Repulsor kill things a lot if he's got one or two heroes that can come with him, set him up, help him out, and certainly fits this lineup a lot better than he did before the Pyromancer pick. Nonetheless, he doesn't provide that much in team fights. He's obviously extremely mobile and difficult to get, but he can really only lock down one hero, and for the most part he's single target damage compared to something like a Moon Queen or even a Gemini that has some bursts. He's got a stun that can hit a couple of things, that split up to the dogs and hit multiple heroes, compared to a Sand Wraith who can drop the ultimate on a bunch of things, the Desert's Curse that can hit a bunch of heroes. So the team fight weakened it a little bit, I think, just because Doctor isn't really a team fight carry. He certainly does fight. I mean, it's not like he can't team fight, it's just that his abilities aren't really geared to doing a lot of AoE damage. Keeper minion over here will get killed, actually, as the stuns and everything going out to him. I'm going to try to stop the pull here, and they will do so. So Keeper going to have a bit of a suffer time up top, just because he won't be able to get lane control for a bit now. And no doubt it will be Keeper top, Engineer and Pesty in middle, and then of course Haxorn on the solo bot with the Arachna. Hellborn lanes are not that surprising either. Bubbles or Kraken were going to be Suicide. It is going to be the Bubbles. And in middle, it'll actually be Kraken and Pyromancer over the dual lane. Doctor solo top, so I like that. Just because Doctor, obviously, he wants 6 more than anything. Before he hits level 6, he's reasonably vulnerable and not that difficult to kill. No escape mechanism, really, and he just doesn't do enough to be able to keep himself alive. But once he hits 6, obviously, he's one of the most evasive heroes in the game, so the faster he hits 6, the better. And with solo experience up here, that will be even faster. He's now boxing Zibe out of this lane, really doing an effective job of zoning him. And Zibe is now down to half health, has a potion and some tangos, but has already eaten 2. So we'll see how that turns out. Certainly going to favor Doctor in the top lane. It's going to be a little difficult to kill Keeper, at least until Tempest gets 6, unless they buy Dust, because obviously he has Nature's Veil, can just go invis at pretty much any time, and only the Tempest ultimate will grant True Vision. Middle, meanwhile, probably I'm thinking we'll go in favor of the Legion side. Splash out attacks from Kraken will help him CS, but there's much more kill potential from Legion as the Impale and Keg and Turret combine much better than the Charge, the Torrent, and the Dragonfire from Pyromancer, just because you sort of have to walk around to set up the charge. So Pyromancer's going to pretty much have to initiate here, and not only is her stun, it has a pretty considerable cast time, so you can actually evade it sometimes if the reaction is quick enough, or if she's not sure where she's going to cast it, which will very often be the case. And personally, I feel like having Pyro initiation, as actually Ophelia gets some damage onto Pyro now, but we'll back off. Hatred picked up here by Angie, looking for a jump on the Doctor. Won't find it as Doctor is taking a health pot, and oh, there he is, but the health pot's pretty much over. So Angie's like, nothing I can do here, I'll head back mid. But anyway, so you can put the Torrent on and then the Dragonfire to help slow down, so that should help Pyromancer land her stun, but then Kraken sort of has to walk around and charge somebody back, and during that stun duration, most of it is going to be wasted on Kraken getting the correct positioning. Legion's Courier actually falls. So a nice pickoff by Balthazar, as for some reason it wasn't upgraded. So, Panny, don't know what you're doing, buddy, but you need to upgrade that Courier fast in this. It's almost 3 minutes into the game, and you really need to have an upgraded Courier by then. Not just because stuff like that will happen, but because it's so much faster to get your items, and Pesty can't just be sitting here without a bottle now for the next long time, which is what's going to happen. Turret and Impale going out, doing some damage to both Pyro and actually nice Dragonfire stun there onto Pesty, so maybe we'll get some damage off. It doesn't look like anybody's heading back to base to buy that Courier again, so Pesty's going to be sitting on bottle gold, I think, for a bit. Now Panny's going back now, has 250 gold, so we'll be able to buy that walking Courier. As Tankafet, I assume he has his bottle. He has 270 gold. We're 3.5 minutes in. There's no reason why he shouldn't have it. Obviously, he doesn't have it in his inventory because there's no Courier. And Kraken should have his bottle as well. Not quite, actually. 564. There's a Torrent, and that's in a little trouble, but not nearly enough because, once again, got to line up that charge. And with the cliff in the way, it doesn't let you do it, essentially. So, stats here in mid lane, 17-2 on Pesty compared to 20-3 on Kraken. So, Kraken now taking over the GP lane, 302 compared to 260. With Panning having to go back to buy that Courier. So that's one other thing that hasn't been mentioned. That's, as I assume there's a bottle on here. Yeah, bottle and boots, in fact, for Insania. That's one thing that has to be mentioned as well. Kraken being able to get some free farm here because Engineer had to walk all the way back to base to rebuy that Courier. So not just a matter of Balthazar getting some gold, Panny having to waste some gold, but also the time that allowed Kraken to get free farm up here and push his farm over Pestilences, and the lane that Pesty and Engineer should win and were winning before that happened. So as a result, slight lead here for the Hellborn, as they're obviously winning top lane. Doctor is sitting at 23 and 11 compared to 8 and 2 CS for Keeper, so not doing too well. They're 150 gold per minute compared to the 302 of Doctor, but certainly not unexpected. Bot lane, meanwhile, Arachna is 29 and 9 compared to Bubbles, who's at 15 and 2. So Bubbles doing a little better than Keeper is, but Arachna doing a little better than Doctor is. So 6 of one, half of the other. Essentially, bot lane is a little more even. Top lane is a little more lopsided, but well, so no, sorry. Top lane is a little less extreme in terms of the CS, and bot lane is a little more extreme. But both heroes on bot getting a little more farm than the ones on top. And the jungle currently being won by Tempest, who is at somehow 265 GPM. Insania is at 185 now. So I don't know what's going on with him. As he's using the Vulture Tornado to farm this a little bit. We'll get a couple of kills. But having some issues farming here, now boosting himself over 200 as both the Vulture Lord and Vagabond Leader will die, but Ophelia, really not a hero also that farms quite as fast as Tempest does, of course. Using the conversion gives you an automatic creep kill, so it's a little easier to farm camps, and ultimately the Tempest Elementals tend to do more damage than most Ophelia minions, so until Oph, gets that level 5, level 7 stage where she can take 2, 3 minions, then it becomes a bit of an issue because she's just not able to farm quite as fast. So this is not unexpected, really. 215 GP and not terrible. A little slower, I think, than most people would expect, but certainly being outstripped by Tempest, who's now at 275. But Oaf's farm should recover fairly well once she has access to all three levels of command. Pull being farmed by her now, and she's level 5, has two minions under control of Ultra Lord and a Skeleton King. As we're not quite 7 minutes of this game here, still looking for a Bloodlust kill. Unsurprising that we haven't gotten one yet. All these lanes are fairly passive and fairly defensive. You know, middle, trying to kill Kraken or Pyromancer are going to be a bit of an issue because there's going to be too much dive required here for the Legion side. I think they probably have the best chance of picking up a kill, just because until Tempest hits 6, he actually is 7 now, so up top you could see it if Keeper gets caught out a little bit. He's also level 6 though, so he drops a root in Nature's Veil and all of a sudden he's out of trouble. Doctor is 7, so he won't be dying to anything anytime soon because he has the ultimate. And on Bubbles, of course, a very defensive suicide hero, so tends not to die, tends not to be in too much danger. We'll throw out a Shell Surf there to try to stop the push a little bit, but both Zibe and Insania are here. And this is likely going to be a dead tower, as all the minions are available. And this tower is dropping real fast. So nothing really here that Bubbles can do about this. This is just going to be what happens when you have Keeper and Ophelia. You're going to push towers like this. So it's really not all that surprising that it's happening, and certainly good on the Legion team for recognizing they have a strong tower push team, and same thing with Alborn. They're like, well, you know, you've got push, we've got Pyromancer, who's probably the best support when it comes to cleaning up creep waves, and Tempest, who has the elementals, which will help us push a tower, plus the Pyromancer fire thing, Fervor. As 2 ports coming in bot, and some trouble perhaps, as Kelpfield actually going to hit 2 heroes here. Doctor jumping in, Ophelia's going to fall right off the bat. That's actually going to be the Bloodlust, 8 minutes in. Glacial Blasts go out here onto the Keeper, and he's looking for the root. Will not have it as Haxorn falls as well to the Pyromancer. Now Hasted Kraken going to try to find him as well. They don't have true vision, I don't believe, but Tempest still has access to his ultimate, so there's the... There it goes. Are we going to see Tempest drop an ultimate? Yes, he will, but he actually won't hit Keeper. So taking a little too long there to drop the Tempest ultimate, I think. They've had vision of him for a while. And blowing 2 pretty huge ultimates to not get a kill on Zibe there, as the Kraken and Tempest ultimates were both dropped. Meanwhile, bot perhaps going to get pushed in a little bit with the Tempest elementals here, but no. So Hellborn and Legion trade towers, but Hellborn get a couple of kills as well. They do spend a couple of very expensive ultimates to do that, and really neither were necessary to get the kills that they got, but not that big a deal. I think you take that exchange most days out of the week now. Arachna going to be in a bit of trouble. Kelpfield is back in 15 seconds, and now she's looking to get dove on. There's Dragon Stun, will be on top. There's a Glacial Blast as well. Shell Surf and Song of the Sea. This is definitely going to be a dead Arachna, as there it is. 2 ports coming in here, actually. Keg will hit Tempest, and he's going to fall, no question, as the tower is going to take him out. Bubble's trying to get the hell out of here. Root is available from Fever. We'll take cover there. And where's the Root? Okay, Zibe, what you doing? Cut off from Pestilence possible, but he might be a little too fast. Flight is active. He's catching up with him. There are the bugs, but the Kelpfield goes down, and this is just going to be too much. So Zibe choosing not to use the Root there for I don't know why. Even if they didn't get him between Panny and Zibe there with the Engineer and Keeper of the Forest, with 2 heroes coming in from the side, they definitely would have had to kill on Bubbles. It was just going to be a question of who was going to get it, who was going to clean it up, and that definitely would have bought Tank if had plenty of time to jump in and take that kill. So they do respond with 1 kill. They lose Arachna once again, as she is now 0-2. But Tempest does die, and they get the bot tower. Kraken here looking for an opening. He does have an ultimate. Nature's Veil goes out on Keeper, and Ophelia perhaps in a lot of trouble. Keeper Root going out actually as a release the Kraken. Just barely does catch Ophelia, but she will get away. Meanwhile, in the back, Zibe actually falls. I'm not even sure how that happened. Puts the Keeper ult down, runs the way, and that's why. The Dragonfire stun plus the catch from Doctor, and just a little too much with the auto attacks. Balthazar picking up the last kill. And that's the last thing the Legion side need is 467 gold per minute on that Doctor Repulsor. Obviously, Doctor, a hero that does have some issues in the laning phase, doesn't do that well just because of how vulnerable he is. And now we're getting to the point in the game where he's not vulnerable anymore at all. And if you put strong farm on him, if you get an early Grimoire or Icon, and he is going for the Grimoire route, clearly looking to farm more than engage. And so that's not really, I can't really say that's a bad decision considering it's 11 minutes and we have 5 total hero kills. But the decision just to farm here, and his farm will explode. He'll have tons of mana. Once he does get that icon, he'll be extremely hard to kill in team fights. And he will outcarry this Legion side, as he's definitely the hardest carry on the board. Hellborn going to drop bot tier 1 tower as their own mid is being pressured, but they're going to see some fight back here as the entire team is available. Still looking to push here as Ophelia and Keeper Minion just doing so much damage. This tower will fall. Glacial Blast onto there as actually a 3-man Kelp field, very well done. Engineer drops the ultimate, going to be a pretty serious problem on top of the Ophelia Blessing, but Bubble's going to take the Spider Sting, and now he's going to fall, no question, as he dies. But Insania in the back dies as well, so Ophelia for Hopgrata on that Bubbles at this point. Suicide for Jungler, probably favoring Hellborn a little bit. Doctor now in a lot of trouble as he's getting blocked out. Will try to pour it out and not be successful. Penny falls in the meantime as the Tempest ultimate goes off, as will also catch Arachna, and she's in a ton of trouble. Will just barely get the kill on Adro, and then she'll die. Tank Effect coming in from the side with a Flight active, gonna get the Impale, and that's gonna be plenty to finish off from Sarah on that Kraken. And now Tempest the only one alive, has the bugs on him though. Flight's still active by Pestilence. Takes the Glacial Blast, so we'll take a couple of them actually. And he still might have enough. No, Flight's gonna wear off here. And I think Tempest is gonna be okay. Because that was a fairly lucky illusion rune. Because not only did it block them out a little bit, it made sure to keep Vision of Pestilence, so we kept getting stunned by the Glacial Blast. And that ends up being, I believe, a 4 for 3, as Tempest was the only one to survive compared to Pesty and Keeper on the Legion side. And with the mid-tower death, and especially the death on Dr. Repulsor, I think that does favor Legion side, no question. Doctor's still out-farming everybody, but both Arachna and Pestilence doing quite well at 308 gold per minute. Tempest just behind them at 366, then Keeper and Ophelia, or sorry, Kraken and Ophelia at just about that 300 mark. And Keeper at 230, 261 for Bubbles, so still a slight resource lead here for the Hellborn side. But Kraken perhaps in a little bit of trouble as they're going to be Ophelia Minions. Portal Key already picked up on Pestilence, but he will get charged back into the tower. And everything will get dropped. Meanwhile, Zibe over here, so let's go watch that first, actually. As the Kelp field gets dropped. Now Zibe is in the middle of the woods. I don't think he has Nature's Veil. He does, actually, but he's already used it. Dragonflame will miss, but there's the nice ultimate from Pyromancer. And Kraken going to drop up here, but we'll see if they can get any counter kills. Pestilence now in some trouble, as he's looking to move off to the side and use his port. Has the portal key available. There he goes into the woods, and that's the TP away. Shell Surf going to come out from Bubbles, but won't spot anything. So it ends up being a 1-for-1 Zibby in exchange for Kraken, as the Suicides die, and that does favor the Legion side just a little bit, as Zibby's farm is not quite as strong as Kraken's. So after a fairly passive early game, we're picking up with some action here, which is always nice. Tower kills, of course, do favor Hellborn, as they've taken 2. Sorry, do favor Legion, as the Legion is taking 3. I'm like, what am I looking at here? Sorry, Legion's taken 3, and Hellborn have taken 2, including a secondary for Legion. And yet there's a gold lead here for Hellborn, so clearly out-CSing and out-resource managing their opponents. Not doing so well in the push, but that's not that surprising, considering the presence of Ophelia and Keeper of the Forest. Really, against those two heroes, 14 minutes in, you still have a tier 1 tower, good on you. And at this much health, for that matter. And Legion looking to do something about that, as Ophelia is leading the charge back here. Tempest Elemental's coming out, trying to do something to stop this push, but there go the Keeper Dogs. And this is going to be a quickly endangered tower, as the Keeper Dogs both have high health, and they're just eating all the damage. 550 health per dog, and they're eating all the damage from the elemental replicates. So this is definitely going to be a top tower kill, as Hellborn have shown no interest in defending it pretty much whatsoever. Pesty in the jungle with the Nature's Veil on, looking for a pick onto somebody, but they won't find it, as most of the Hellborn team has grouped up middle, except for Masera in the bottom lane, and Balthazar over here in the woods. Couple 10+ elementals plus Pyromancer are going to do some damage to mid-tower, but probably won't get it. Pestilence is going to jump onto Pyromancer, no surprise. There's the Impale stun, but now he should be careful. Dragon Flame is juke. There's the Kelp Field on top of the Glacial Blast. It's going to take a bunch of stuns and will fall here, so a little too aggressive there from Pesty. Without the team backup, unable to drop Pyro on his own, and a fairly easy kill there. Engineer going to drop the energy field. That's a great placement, actually. Will mess with everything. You're going to try to kill as fast as possible. There goes the root, though, to slow them down. Keeper, a nice Tempest ultimate actually coming down, blocking down this Ophelia. Release the Kraken on top of it. Does get the Numerous Blessing and the Astrolabe buff, so just barely doing enough, as they will pick off Insania as well as Tempest. Now Pyromancer in ton of trouble will die. So it took just too long to kill Insania there. A little earlier, and she wouldn't have had the Astrolabe, she wouldn't have the Numerous Blessing, and that probably would have resulted in at least Pyromancer living, perhaps even more kills to the Hellborn side, but Insania on that Ophelia just tanky enough to survive both the Kraken and Tempest Ultimate. And as a result, pops all his heals, lives for a few more seconds, and his team turns it around. So despite the pick on Tempesti earlier and the kill of Ophelia, they do get Tempest and Pyromancer. And Bubbles in some trouble here. We'll put the silence down, but lots of damage. Kraken with the portal key coming back in will manage to drop Penny super fast. Now Zibe in some trouble as well. Doesn't have a root, obviously, already used it. And he's going to fall here. Puts the Ancient's Veil down, but easy dust. And nice impel stun from Pesty in the back. Will pick off everybody, including Dr. the Repulsor first. And now lots of trouble for Bubbles. He does have the web shot, but will survive. Glacial Blast going to help with Pesty as he's looking for a jump in once again. Adro, of course, will fall. The bugs are on their Ophelia, but now Bubble's going to die as well. Haxorn falls in the meantime, and now Pesty's in some trouble. My god, is he going to live? Eating the bottle, trying to get out of here. And I think he's going to survive. Has a portal key up in 3 seconds. Gets ported back by Ophelia anyway, so ballsy play there from Tankafet just barely pays off. As the Legion pick up a few more kills onto Dr. Pyro once again and Bubbles. So Pyro not having the greatest time right now, 3 deaths. 2 of them coming in the last maybe minute. And Legion side eating away at that lead as it used to be, what, 2k gold or something like that. Now it's about 1,000 gold and 3.6k experience. So experience still pretty much in favor of the Hellborn side, but gold relatively even. More importantly is this. Haxorn has now surpassed Baltazar for the highest farm. Is actually Baltazar will take that crown back with Haxorn being dead and him actually being able to farm. But for a Doctor that was up at 360, 370 GPM early on in this game, looking for the Grimoire really fast, and nearly has it now. As he's going to jump in here onto Pan, he's going to die so quickly, but Spider Sting onto Repulsor, and he's going to fall. Tries to get away, but the Spider's going to follow him, of course, and that's going to get the kill. Jump here by Pesty onto Pyromancer. She's easily going to fall. Just way too much physical damage on top of those blows. Pestilence, sorry, nice take cover and portal key there from Pesty. Or from Bubbles. Mid tower going to get pushed in now as both Keeper and Ophelia are here on top of Haxorn. Shell Surf coming in, going to try to clean up some of these creeps as Ophelia, Catman champion, I think he does die, didn't get ported back. Minotaur nearly falling as well, but this will be a mid-tower kill for the Legion. 18 minutes in, they've taken 5 of 6 outer towers. Only the top secondary remains. Still pretty high health, but a bit of an issue there. And once again, Balthasar getting picked off way too often, now below both Pesty and Arachna here. So despite that really good early game farm, the Light Brand and the Ultimate Orb, he's just been dying too much. 3 deaths, most of them coming in the last few minutes. Keeper will steal the Ancients over here, grabs Dragon Master, but now in a bit of trouble. Haste is there. Will he get it? Yeah, he does, but he takes the kill field on top of the Dragon Fire Stun, gets eaten up here. Nice Norse Blessing, and not going to be enough even with the root. So, 4 heroes there responding for the Hellborn side, and they will kill Keeper. Nice pick onto Zibe. And that will once again extend their experience lead. Gold now in favor of Legion side. So Hellborn, I think, are pretty okay with the way this is going. They should know, they should believe that they have the late game with that Doctor. As eventually he'll get a Shrunken, which will essentially prevent anything from happening ever. Even if he gets caught by the root, he'll just Shrunken out of it and jet away. Energy Field, similar thing. Pestilence will still be a bit of a problem with all this physical stuff, but he just shouldn't be enough damage towards that late game to kill Doctor, especially if he has the icon up. Grimoire is finished. Legion, meanwhile, they can certainly take this late game. They have the number 2 and 3 carries in Arachna and Pestilence. But they probably just don't want to deal with this Doctor because, you know, obviously one of the most effective things of shutting down a Doctor, or 2, are Hex and Perplex. So rhyming there is fun. But Sheepstick and Orchid, i.e. Hellflower. God, I'm watching too much Soda. It's your fault, HoNcast. You don't update your YouTube, and I'm forced to go elsewhere. I'd rather watch HoNcast, but I can't because my internet is not good enough to actually run Twitches at 1080p or whatever. And they took away that thing that let you change the quality, so I can't watch it. Rant over. But there's no obviously good Sheepstick person on this Legion side. Ophelia and Keeper, or Hellflower person, for that matter. Bubble's going to PK away just in time And we'll port out, so nice reaction there. Knowing I'm about to get jumped here. Of course, Rev Word walked right past was Pesty, so. Top secondary tower is now going to be sieged as the entire Legion team is here looking to take it out. What a surprise, they're pushing a tower. And this should go down relatively easily. I think the glyph is up, but it won't matter. And just over 21 minutes in, and all of a sudden, no more towers left. And now it looks like we're going to see a base push here from the Legion side, so at this point, Hellborn have to respond. DD is up on Arachna, and this tower is dropping. Glyph Fortification finally comes out, but she'll just use that to help, or she'll just keep attacking the tower. DD is destroying this tower. Jump in here from Kraken, we'll push Pesty back, drops the release to Kraken on him as well. Gonna eat the Pyro ultimate, but the Neuralist Buzzing comes out, Root comes here, on top of Bubbles, but he just ports out, and Energy Field and Root don't really do very much at all. So Hellborn have a substantial advantage here now that 3 massive teamfight ultimates have come out from Legion side, and they're like, yeah, we gotta get the hell out of here because we've blown our load, and we can no longer take this teamfight. Mid tower falls to creeps. So I'm a little disappointed that Hellborn didn't take that chance to reinitiate. I mean, they had Doctor up, he was fine. They had Kelpfield, Tempest ultimate, Kraken ultimate had already been dropped, but compared to the 3 ultimates that were down for the Legion side, that's really not that big a deal. Regen rune on bot. We'll see if Doctor notices that. I hope he does, because it's an amazing rune on Doctor. Doesn't look like it. It looks like Pesty will instead grab it. Nope, there's a Glacial Blast, and now Pesty's in a lot of trouble. Will take the Dragonfire Stun on top of Arrow Pull and everything, and that's going to be an easy death for him. Doctor grabbing the regen, and he's like, ha, look at me fly. Dropping little turds everywhere. Oh no, it's going to get knocked off. Oh man, right into the creep wave, and it gets knocked off. So his fun has ended, and now he actually is missing quite a bit of mana. Whoops, doodle. But Hellborn side going to group up here in middle, look to start taking some towers of their own. They do have some pretty decent push with Bubbles, Pyro, and Tempest. A little surprised they haven't tried to go for this before, but the push on Hellborn is way strong. There's no question about that. That's one of the best push lineups you can put together. Turret for a really strong lane to push to, as this is going to be a bit of an issue. Killing this building, of course. With Pyro and Bubbles, they're limited to cleaning creep waves. They don't do a lot of building damage. Gonna bring a cannon in, that'll help a little bit. But Hellborn perhaps choosing to back off here? We're not sure. Adro up top is getting away, as of course the tower's down, so they need to be continuously worried about that top Rax, lest it get backdoored. Up here, jump onto Ophelia as she's in a lot of trouble. Dust goes out, and looking for the stun from Pyro. Will find it, and this is just going to be an easy death. As Masera picks up the last hit with that Kraken. So Insania getting a little aggressive farming the enemy woods, and pays for it. I'm a little surprised you didn't see them coming. They have a ward here, and they were coming up from top runes, or the middle, so you would think that, hey, the ward will spot them, I'll get out in time. But whatever's going on in Insania's head, that was not registered. Keeper is invis, looking for something perhaps, but won't find anything. Pesty running over here with a flight active. Bubbles could be in a little bit of trouble. Jumping right on top of him, but nice portal key away, and he'll be totally fine. So seeing that Pesty and immediately reacting to it and jumping the hell out of there. And Hellborn continues to press the lead here. Legion loves their push. Ophelia in her own jungle trying to get some creeps back as she lost all of her creeps when she got ganked. Legion sort of forcing the issue here, continually pressuring that top lane and forcing Hellborn to deal with it. Definitely a good strategy, because not only does it, you know, split up teams a lot, so you really can't be there. If one of your heroes is up here pushing this lane back, then you're not all 5. But it also, you know, forces them to... Sorry, I had another point there. It pushes it back to prevent them from fighting as 5. There's something else I was going to say about that. Now I forgot what it was. That's embarrassing. Oh well, it's not like anybody's going to notice. Because nobody watched this. Statistically speaking, you've already tuned out. I've looked at the view counts on most of my stuff, and the longest thing goes is like 15 minutes. And that's average view time, so some people have certainly made it this far, but maybe just 1 or 2 people, who knows. Is it weird when I talk to the viewer as if they're there when I'm in fact recording this far, far in the past to where you are? Maybe. Regardless, Legion side once again going to push top lane, continuing to keep this pressure up. Forcing the rotation from Hellborn, as they know, they can't do much. Oh, the other thing I was going to say, it prevents the Hellborn from pushing out themselves. Goctor going to jump here, has a Shrunken, going to jump onto Ophelia, looking for everything. Silence comes out from there, but Ophelia going to drop all of her ults. Nice ultimate from Tempest, catching everything, all top of the Kraken ultimate. Entering the field, not going to do much, as the Legion side are dropping like flies. Balthazar does die on that, as there goes Kraken, going to fall too, so a great play from Hellborn, and they just didn't have the damage. They got a full Tempest ultimate on top of a full Kraken ultimate for 4 heroes. And they just didn't have the damage. As I think for some reason Balthazar died in the middle of that. Haxfrey managed to pick him off. That took out a lot of their damage, but I guess the Shell Surf Song of the Sea was down. I suppose Power Stuff must have been down because they just had 0 follow-up to that. So Tempest Kraken ultimate right on top of each other, just about perfect. And yeah, it was in the middle of the energy field, so that was a bit annoying, but there were enough heroes outside of it that you could go attack them. And that's got to be a little disheartening for the Hellborn team, because I'm not sure if they could set up for a better ultimate than that. Like, if they wanted a better engagement than that, it would have to literally be a 5-man hole, because Haxton was the only person outside of it. And I wouldn't go around expecting a 5-man hole at any point. It's just not a smart play, because you're not going to get one pretty much ever. And honestly, despite the fact that they're 8.5k experience up and the gold lead is relatively even, that makes me really concerned for this Hellborn team. Because if that happens again, like, even if they get a great Tempest ultimate, do they have enough damage? Panny got out here with the Bound Eye on Tempest will do nothing with the Invis. Of course, helpful for detecting those heroes with Nature's Veil, but Panny just had an Invis rune. So a bit unfortunate for him, not great timing. And now Hellborn perhaps looking for something else in their own jungle. As Legion are grouped up as 4. Pandy missing here, but that's not that big a deal. Impel Stone there onto Tempest, and he will die right off the bat. Pesty taking some damage, but Keeper going to root 4 people here, trying to pour out his Pyro, but he's going to take the Gore Stone and die. Actually, Kraken props the Shrunken will be okay. Spider's going to follow him all the way back to base. Run, little spider! Run, little spider! Run, little spider! It's running! It's going to hit him and then die immediately, watch, because this lasted too long. Didn't even get that far. Just dies for no reason. So a couple of pickoffs there for the Legion side, as Tempest ultimate is not quite back up. 20 seconds left, and Release the Kraken is available. Kelpfield actually goes off in the background. Balthazar going to try to pick somebody off. Tankafat dies right off the bat. So does Insanity. So 2 down in favor of the Hellborn side right now. Haxorin and Zibby, the only ones alive, as Panny still working his way back. Energizer gets popped, and this should be run time. Haxorin has gotten the message. Energy Field going to be popped, but in the back, Bubbles comes in on top of the Tempest, and they're going to probably pick off Haxorin here. Meanwhile, Adro dies in the back on Pyromancer. Nice Tempest ultimate, gets canceled relatively quickly, and Haxorin's still running, avoids the release of Kraken. It's just fast as all hell. Torrent is out as, oh my god, nearly enough. That would have been extremely annoying for Hellborn if she managed to live. Nearly died with that web shot onto Kraken, just slowing him down enough. Balthazar going to help pick off Panny in the meantime, and Zibbe going to try to get away, but he's the only remaining survivor. Dust goes on to him. Now he's in a ton of trouble. Doctor has no mana left, and they will stop chasing. Apparently, Bubbles did not get the memo, and now he's going to get initiated on, as Keeper's actually hitting him fairly hard. Enough mana on Doctor for a magnetic contraption or a reverse polarity, but not enough for anything more than that. We'll just pour it out. So no buyback from Balthazar, excuse me, and she did just respawn, that's surprising. Buybacks were used by Tempest and Pyromancer. And Tempest did put his ultimate down, but cancelled more or less immediately. So these top racks still alive, but it's getting harder and harder for Hellborn to hold this, and the concerning thing is they've got a golden experience lead. And they're not winning these team fights just because the Legion has so much of it. Brute, Newer's Blessing, Energy Field, even with Tempest and, Arachna and Pestilence being mostly single target heroes. It's just like, it doesn't matter. They're providing damage here, and the lockdown is being taken care of for them. And Pessy's helping with lockdown for that matter too, but the bigger issue is, I think what we saw in both of those fights, Hellborn just don't have enough damage here. Balthazar's not at the point yet where he can reliably output significant amounts of damage. He has that Grimoire, which is very helpful, but it's just not that big a deal. Look at his auto attacks, 151 to 161, not a huge deal. Haxorn's at 200 damage per attack. Pesty's got 101 plus the bugs. 111 plus the bugs. Zibe hits pretty hard, 131. Hope's got 111 plus her minions, so lots of damage. Once again, these racks can be sieged. Jumped in here by Pestilence will put everything on bubbles. Dragonflame will miss as he backs off, but the racks are probably going to go down here as the minions are focusing them. And just Legion never, ever, ever backing off this top lane and finally getting what they came for. As eventually it got to the point where the minions were too much. They kill those racks so fast. There's nothing Hellborn can do about them because, you know, no Tempest ultimate, Kraken and Bubbles ult were available, but that's not enough. There's not enough damage, there's not enough lockdown. And the heal from the Legion side with the Astrolabe and the Newer's Blessing, too big a deal. Of course, Nature's Veil providing armor and heal itself, so just a massive issue. And Legion is not going to stop. They're going mid. Looking to pressure some more. Perhaps, maybe not. Balthazar over here on the Ancients for some reason. And this mid tower is going to get pressured. Jump in here from Kraken, and we'll see if Arachne takes anything. Nothing. Charge away. Panny going to find Doctor over here, and we're Doctor going to find Panny more accurately, and he's in a lot of trouble. Newer's Blessing comes out to save him, but Doctor runs the hell away. I think with that cooldown blown, they might choose to leave. No. Not quite. Continuing to siege the tower here. Nature's Veil, obviously, on Keeper not going to do much for Invis, but will help him out with armor a little bit. Jump into the background by Bubbles, trying to do something on Pessy, but responds with a Keeper portal key. And Pessy jumping back here onto Bubbles, but there's Ghost Kraken. Will charge him into the tower, and Pesty's going to fall super fast here. Bubbles in a lot of trouble, will die himself, but there goes Keeper getting a lot of damage, and he'll fall. Tempest's going to fall as well, and Release the Kraken gets dropped on Haxorn, but he gets portal keyed out, or sorry, push booked out. Energy Field dropped onto Balthazar here. He will manage to jump himself out of it. Haxorn chasing down Adro, and he'll die. Bubbles bought out. Drops the Kelp Field, but Haxorn immediately just takes the stun. Keg there, not going to connect on anything, and Hax will get ported back by Ophelia. So, another tower death, and we're probably going to see the same thing in middle as we saw in top, where the Legion's going to be able to just siege these racks. And it's going to be a little easier, too, because top's going to continually push in. So, Hellborn are going to have a slightly harder time defending mid, having lost top, and then we're going to see, I think, a mid-racks go down relatively fast. As Legion are just like, we have so much push, guys. And they do. I mean, I love how they're playing this. They're like, we have the team fight, we have the push. Why don't we just always stay as 5? They've got game potential with Pyromancer, Bubbles, and Dr. Repulsor. We're not going to give them the opportunity to do anything with all that single target damage. Now, Arachna's perhaps not benefiting from her gank potential quite as much, but who cares? She's not there to gank. She's there to do damage. She's doing that 220 to 231 damage, plus the Geometer's Bane. And she hits relatively fast, so quite a powerful hero right now in terms of right-click auto-attack damage. And not a surprise, as Arachna does scale fairly well. She's a little underrated as a carry, I think. Just because she is so damn squishy. If she gets caught out, she's in a lot of trouble. But when she's constantly surrounded by her team, it's not really an issue. And of course, with the Ophelia Newer's Blessing, that helps a lot too. Meteor gets dropped will help a little bit with the anti-push, but not too much, as Keeper is just sitting in the front being like, I'm going to jump you. Bubbles jumps back in, will get out, as there goes the Kelp Field. Charge through, and Keeper's going to fall immediately. Pestilence looking for counter initiation. Spider gets dropped into Kraken, but he drops the ultimate. Pessy getting the hell out of there, as Kraken's going to fall. So Haxorn caught in the middle of that ultimate, as actually there's the energy field going down. Tempa's going to fall here as well, no question. Buyback on Bubbles, no. As they're actually going to drop Panty here. Now Pesty in a little bit of danger. Repulsor has no mana, and he's going to fall here, no question. Bubbles off to the side, looking for a live. Kraken did buy back. There's a jump from Bubbles, and that will finish off Tank Event on that Pebbles. Shellsurf finally onto Haxorin, but he's going to run away. And we'll be totally fine. Going to get caught over here is Ophelia, and Insane will fall. But once again, buybacks used. Kraken there and Dr. Repulsor, as we have buybacks used by everybody on the Hellborn side, and the Hellborn top racks fall, so that's going to push it a little harder now. And it feels like Legion lost that fight just because they have 4 heroes down right now, but they didn't. They took a top rack sort of inadvertently, but they did take one. They killed 3 heroes, and they forced a couple of buybacks, and they lost 3 themselves. And Haxorin, most importantly, lived. So they're boxing their opponents into their base. They're not letting them out. They're not letting them farm at all. And Doctor needs farm. He can't be using his money on buybacks. He needs items. He needs damage because we saw they don't have it. So he's going to have to be the one to provide it. And you would normally expect Icon of the Goddess as his next item just because it is so ridiculous for him in teamfights, giving him all that health and mana back. And normally I'd love that, but yeah, he's going an Arcane Staff. Is that what it's even called? Let me remember. Acolyte Staff. So I'm expecting Sheepstick there from him. And I don't hate that idea. I think I might have even gone a more pure damage item like Savage Mace, because it seems to me like he needs to be able to provide damage. Now, on the other hand, they can't really rely on Tempest and company to be locking people down. Now, even though Kelpfield and the release Kraken are up for most every fight, Tempest Ultimate won't be just because Legion are pushing constantly. So they'll have it 1 out of every 3 fights or something like that. That seems to be a pattern. But it's just not going to be enough. So it's sort of a rock and a hard place for Doctor here, because he can go for the Sheepstick, which will give him some damage and a good lockdown, but only on 1 hero, and whether that's the best is certainly questionable, I think, with all the stuns coming out from Legion, the Push Book, and the New Earth's Blessing, plus the Astrolabe. I believe there's Storm Spirit too, yeah, on Ophelia. So Ophelia is just Mr. Utility here, as Insania is going crazy. Kongor attempt going to be here, obviously going to be spotted out by a War sitting right in the Kongor pit, so Hellborn know this is going on. Wingbow finished up by Arachna, and she's just crazy now. Wingbow, Geo's Bane, Energizer, and Shrunken Head, and she's going to be extremely, extremely difficult to kill. Doctor looking for a jump up here, put some Magnetic Contraption down. Mines go off from NG, will get procced by Kongor, but he just eats him. Courier from the Hellborn will put the shield up and let them know, oh look, we can see that. Jump in here from Kraken as he charges Haxorin up on the high ground. That was a mistake. Panty immediately going to drop though, so no energy field available. Keeper comes out, locking down 4 heroes. Balthazar dies immediately, but Tempest Ultimate also cancelled. Hop Guard on the Bubble's going to fall immediately. And it looks like Zibe will die as well. Kraken trying to get away, does not take the Kelpfield Stun, obviously this is on his own team. But Hax and Ophelia here chasing people down, and there's no question that Pyromancer's dead here. As Bubbles and Kraken manage to survive with their portal keys in general difficult to killness. But that's 2 down for Legion, 3 down for Hellborn, as once again Dr. Repulsor dies. He's 5, 6, and 14, so just not going well for him. And this will be a finish off of that Hellborn or Legion Kongor kill. There's a pickup of the token for Haxorin, and he's now going to be impossible to kill. And these 3 heroes are going to push in mid lane. They have 30 seconds before anybody on Hellborn respawns. Nobody's got a buyback. Bubbles actually bought out, so he did die. That's what I thought. So that ended up being a 4 for 2, sorry, with a buyback on Bubbles. And this is going to be a mid-Rax. Glyph is not going to slow this down nearly enough. Torrent goes out actually onto the real Arachna, but not enough. So this is 2 lanes down here in favor of the Legion. And at no point in this game has it really ever felt like Hellborn were in it, except for the early game when we were in the laning phase and they were going, oh, they're winning the lanes, they're doing really well, Doctor's doing really well. And then ever since then, ever since we hit the mid game, his farm has continually dropped. He's at 441 gold per minute now, so that's not really fair, because he was at the 400 mark or so. So he's actually gotten a little bit back, but considering he has the Grimoire, and considering he's easily the focus of his team's farm, he should be at the 500 plus GPM mark now, not even close to that, and having spent a buyback. Because he's been continuously hemmed into his base, continuously forced to team fight, which he doesn't really want to do. And which Hellborn team doesn't want to do constantly. They do want to do it occasionally when they have the Tempest Ultimate available. But if they don't, they do not want to take team fights. They want to take small gangs, small initiations, use Pyro Bubbles, Kraken, and Doctor to pick people off. They don't want to continually have to team fight because Legion's cooldowns are significantly shorter. Especially than that Tempest ultimate. Haxorn now sieging the tower. Of course, level 4 gives him True Strike, so he's not missing ever. Now he's going to sit here and eat the Rax alive. And Hellborn is doing nothing about this because they really can't. There goes the Torrent onto him. He's like, I don't care. I'm going to pop the Shrunken, eat this Kraken. There goes the jump onto Kraken as well, and he's going to die in a matter of seconds. So there goes the nice more web shots onto Tempest. Now he's going to fall. Energy putting energy field out. Root's going to come out onto Doctor. Pops the Shrunken actually before he got rooted. And there goes Balthasar. There's a GG's called, and not a surprise as a quad kill from Haxorn. Looking for the Annihilation here. Not going to find it as Bubbles will port back to base. And that's going to be game. So very well played here from NK. I think they knew what their team was good at, and boy did they figure it out. Gonna be Annihilation? Come on, kill him. Is it gonna be enough time? That's the question. Oh my God, Haxorn's gonna fall here. Bloodbath. No Annihilation. Not enough on the time. It's too bad. So this was an NK team that was like, we're going to push it in team fighting. We're never, ever, ever, ever going to let up. And that's exactly what they did, and that's how they won the game. So very, very well executed from there. Just not a lot it felt like Hellborn could do ever. They were constantly being forced to team fight, and they didn't want to do that. So that will do it for Game 1, as it does go to NK with an extremely well-played performance, but generally a very good game overall. Actually, lots of action, was very fun. 34 to 34 hero kills, so relatively even. Up to the end there, Hellborn had a resource lead. But that will do it for Game 1, so let's